Okay, welcome back, you guys, to On a Real Note. Today we're gonna do something a little different. Usually, we talk about business topics, stuff like that, but today we're gonna do something a little juicy. We're gonna be talking about relationships. We asked some of y'all questions on Instagram, so we're gonna be answering some things on there. So to start it off, my name is Alyzza.
Sorry, my name is Xochitlh.
I'm Alisha, and today we have a very special guest with us. We have Mr. Bryan Morales. Welcome.
I don't know, I always want to clap when
I know.
I feel weird introducing them.
Of course. So like Alyssa was saying, we're super excited to be talking about this juicy topic because I know we all have something to say about when it comes to, relationships, right? We have some juicies.
Damn.
Well, I know, we're going to really jump into it today, right? So one of the questions that we have, just to kind of kick it off, we can go. You want to start with you want to start with we did a poll for, our viewing audience. So we're going to go ahead and get a question from one of you guys just to kick it off.
Alright. Well, this one has to do with business. So I think we should.
Did you want to start with that one or just start with?
Let's start with some of the other ones that we have.
Okay.
And then we can end with that one.
Unless y'all guys want me to ask the meme then.
No.
Alright.
Okay, so one of our first questions then is just simply, what are you looking for in a relationship?
Damn.
Damn. Don't all jump in at once.
Shit, let's start that one, bro.
Okay, so for me, what I look for in a relationship is honestly, I want a best friend. I want somebody that, one, they're excited to see me. Like, I want you, thinking about me all day. I want you, good morning, what's going on? What are we doing today? It doesn't have to be, us, every single day, our days are congruent, but I want to always be on each other's minds. I wonder, I hope they're happy right now. I hope they're, as inspired right now. I hope, just always wishing the best for each other. And somebody that, like I said, is a best friend. And what that means for me is always hoping for the best, but showing that with action.
Right.
So if I'm sick, are you bringing me stuff to make me feel better? Are you trying to make sure that I always have a smile on my face? But not just always have a smile, but if I, for whatever reason, I need to lean on you, that you can prove that you're going to be there for me.
You're a pillar.
Yeah, a pillar, because I think it's always going to be a partnership. Can I lean on you? Can I go to you? Can I vent to you? Can I go for you for a laugh? Do I look at you and I feel safe?
Right.
I think that's one of the key things for me because, life is already hard. I think we've all been through so much. So knowing that if something happens, I have somebody to always go to is important for me. You know what I mean? I need to know that you're not going to change your mind about me just because it's today it's Wednesday and yesterday I cared for you and now I don't.
Yeah.
I think that's very important, especially because of my family background. You need to prove to me that I can put my trust and my faith in you. So for me, the pillar, the backbone, the foundation of a solid relationship is that security.
Yeah.
So that's the most important thing for me. That's what I look for. So not just the security, but I need to be able to laugh. I need to be able to feel fully appreciated, because for me, what I've found is when I really like somebody, oh my god, I do the most.
I got you wiggling your feet.
Yeah.
I got you doing random stuff on the phone.
I know. Damn. It sounds like you know.
You're doing it to yourself here, bro.
But it's true. I literally wanted to if you're sick, you have a headache, I'm trying to build a basket for you. I'm trying to deliver it at your house. I'm too much. I'm extra, because it's I want to make sure that you feel I'm there for you.
Right.
So I need that in return. You know what I mean? I need to make sure that I feel you're really there for me, because I know what I would do. So I feel I deserve the respect and the love that I give.
Right.
100%. So it's that, and also admiration for each other. Because I remember, specifically with your parents, I remember one of the things that they would say was, you can't. It's not enough just to love somebody. You have to like admire and respect them.
Right.
And that was something that really stuck with me when they said that, because I was like, damn, they're right. Like, you have to, love isn't enough, because that's like, so a lot of people base that off of like a feeling, but it comes with actions too. And like those actions, it's easier to back it up if you have that love, that respect, that admiration. Because at the end of the day, maybe I'm not loving you right now, or not liking you because of something that, you know, a little bump or argument that we might have had.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I'm never gonna call you out of your name. I'm never gonna put you down. I'm never gonna do anything that I think would hurt you, because I genuinely admire and respect you.
Right.
You know, so I think all of that comes with that.
Shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your follow up, bro. Come on.
You're on point. I feel like I agree to everything she said as well. You know, with the respect part. You know, as soon as you disrespect your partner, it's like it's not the same. You know, it's like damn, like we lost that respect. It's not easy to build that up. It won't be the same. You know, so just always be nice to each other. And you know, what I look for in are we talking about like in a woman or just or just in a woman or relationship? You know, because I think there was another question regarding like to what do you look for in your partner or in a relationship? It's two different things, right?
We'll break it down. If it's two different things, like what do you mean? Like what's the key difference between what you look for in a woman and what you look for in a relationship?
Okay, in a relationship, it's like you guys are like what are you looking for in that relationship, or what do you look for in a woman? You know what I mean?
Like as a partnership, like as a whole,
Gotcha.
you guys.
So as a team and as an individual.
Yes, that makes
right?
sense. That makes
Yes
sense.
or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I mean, like, yeah. It could be like as a team or as
like a relationship is like a 2-person job, and then a woman
like,
is a singular
What do
person.
you like about your partner? What do you see? Like, what is something, you know, like your future wife or husband will look like? You know, that it's two different things. You know, but in a
That's a good
relationship,
point. Yeah.
it's like I need her to be supportive. You know, I'm over here trying to conquer the world, and I don't need to come back home and her to start talking all this and that. Like, no, like I need her to be my peace of mind, you know what I mean? Like somewhere I can trust. Okay, like
Your rib, bro.
Huh?
Your rib.
My rib?
Just
Yeah.
gotta be your rib.
My
Out
backbone,
of
my
the knee,
everything,
you know?
Okay, I was like,
I need okay, now I'm lost.
Sorry, I just
lost
watched
myself.
I just watched Baby Boy yesterday, so
Yeah, you know, it's just I agree to I think she said as well. Just be really supportive. I'll you can move on. I'll get back to it.
Alright.
For me, well, I'm already in a relationship, so that one's a little bit different for me. But I guess like before I got into my relationship, when I was first looking, actually I wasn't even looking, to be honest. It just kind of happened. But I guess like the key things that I always knew that I wanted in a relationship was someone who was gonna, like, kind of the same thing, be my best friend. I grew up with like parents who were each other's everything. They loved each other, they admired each other. Like my dad cries about my mom like all the time. Like I just grew up with that. And like he's just always been like, oh, like your mother's first, this and that. Like he's always like just like loved her and admired her and always like put her like first and always prioritized her first. That like I always knew that I wanted something like that. I wanted a relationship like that. So for me, I knew I wanted a relationship where like the person was gonna be basically like my best friend, somebody I can go to all the time, somebody I can talk to all the time, somebody that I can like anytime I have any like thing in my head that I just want to like or like let off my shoulders or something. I know I have a person that I can talk to and like basically just like I can count on them. I can count on them to like be there for me, to listen, to be like a supportive ear, and somebody who can like literally just like be like my best freaking friend and like I can count on to be there for everything and anything that happens in my life or anything that I ever go through. Like that person was gonna be my person. Like I didn't matter if maybe like I didn't have a friend who was there for me that time, or I was off and on with a friend, or maybe me and like somebody. It's usually most of my closest relationships were with friends. So like let's say something was off and I felt like I wasn't as close with a friend, it wouldn't matter because I had my person, and that's like what I cared about most, was that I at least had my person no matter what. It doesn't matter what's happening at home, it doesn't matter what's happening in business, it doesn't matter at all. I have my person, so when things are going like crazy and everywhere else, I can have my person to kind of be like you said, like my peace, my place, that because like when everything is going crazy, I can come to this person and basically feel like good. So that was always something like I wanted in a relationship. I wanted like an equal. I never wanted to like always be, like I always said in the past, like now it's completely different, but I used to be like, oh, I don't cook, I won't clean, I won't do this, I won't do that.
I thought she'll start rapping now. I'll cook.
But like seriously, like I was always like that. I was like, oh, I'm never gonna, like, I'm not gonna cook, I'm not gonna clean, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that. Like I'll hire somebody to do everything. I always like knew like in the future, like when I have when like I marry her and we have kids and family and a home, like it was gonna be equal, like it was gonna be equal share of cleaning and taking care of the home and doing all this. In the past I would have been like, I'm just gonna hire someone to do this. I'll hire a cook, I'll hire a cleaner, I'll hire this, I'll hire that. But like now it's like I have a person where like anything, like I can do anything and it's fun. Like like before I used to be scared to like be in, like I hated being embarrassed. I hated doing certain things. I wouldn't even go out and about if like I wasn't dressed all up and everything. But like now I can literally be in the bummiest thing ever, as long as we're both bumming it out together. We could be in the store in our freaking huarachas and whatever, and like just like it's like I don't care how I look, I don't care about anything. Like we'll go and to like the Dollar Tree and buy some stuff and go to the beach and start making it on the beach and like having fun and going to pick up like some snacks from the Dollar Tree. Like that's and the old me would have never, but like in this relationship I feel like I have a best friend. I can do anything with. Anything in life is fun. As long as she's by my side, I know that I will have fun. And like that's kind of like enough for me. So like that was always something that I wanted in a relationship. It was like basically at the end of the day, this is my best friend.
My turn?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Shit. Alright, so for me, I've always dated to marry. So when I met her, I made that pretty clear. Like we always talked about it. The first thing we talked about was always, which I think is very important when you're in a relationship or when you're looking to be in a relationship, is always talking about each other's morals, each other's goals. For us, like having a family is important. So, you know, parenting, like how you want to parent your kids, having kids in general, how you want to raise the kids, how many kids you want. Religion is very important. You have to have like something, if you are different religions, at least like a middle ground for your kids to not be like hella confused about everything. So there's that, like there's just like talking about like our future as parents. And then after that, it's goals in general. Like, for example, obviously we're both in the business, but when I met her, I wasn't in the business. So she would talk to me about like what I wanted for my future. And I would talk to her about the same, but I already knew her goals were way, like, they were huge. They were huge. I never thought that was even possible. So being able to get to know her was like mind-opening for me. You know, like your mind is just like, what the fuck? Like this is amazing. You know, like it's like stepping into like a whole other like realm. So getting to know her goals, getting to know like all these things was completely amazing to me. I looked up to her so much. Like it was like, I don't know, it was like she was like an inspiration, you know. It wasn't our relationship started that way, but I think in the past relationships that I was in, both relationships that I was in, the people that I was with, they didn't have goals that were big, you know, like they just wanted a regular life. And at the moment, like, I thought I wanted a regular life, but I knew I wanted more. So I just didn't know. I was kind of just like, okay, well, I want to do more. What's the best thing that I can do? Something that I'm good at, something, all that stuff. But when I talked to them and I asked them, like, hey, don't you want to, like, do something bigger? Or I had a job, like, that was better than the one they had, like, better pay. I'd be like, hey, like, I'll hook you up. Like, come with me, you know, come do something else. Or why don't you apply here? Maybe that'll, you know, help out. And they would just be like, no, like, I'm good where I'm at. And that always bothered me. So when I met her and I saw, like, her background and the way she was planning on having her future and everything, like, that aligned with what I wanted. I didn't know at the time, but I didn't know before, but when I heard it, it aligned. I was just like, okay, yeah, I want that. Like, I didn't know I wanted this, but that's what I want. You get me? So I think having similar goals, or at least similar goals, is one thing that's very, very important to me. On top of that, I always look at, you know, the person that's kind and caring. So I pay attention a lot to how they treat other people. So if somebody's very arrogant, very, like, I wouldn't say, yeah, like, cocky, I don't really like that. It's just like, it's a turn off for me. I don't like people that are rude or treat people like, bring people down. I don't like that. I like people that are, like, inclusive of everybody. And so when I met her, she basically had everything that I ever wanted. You know, you get me? Like, I met her on our first date. She was, like, talking to everybody. Like, we're playing mini golf, right? And so, like, a little kid was, like, trying to hit, like, a golf ball, and he was, like, struggling, and she's like, you got this, buddy. Like, you know, like, I was just like, dude, that my heart was just like, what? Because it reminded me a lot of what I wanted, you know, you get me? Like, that's because that's how I am with people that I am comfortable with. But she was super outgoing, and I was just like, I thought I was outgoing for myself. I was like, this is amazing, because now she kind of, like, pushed me to want to do more. You get me? So I also like that about a person. It's just like about her is like she always pushes me to be better. You get me? So always having somebody that challenges you to be better is always something really good. Not somebody who's gonna bring you down and, like, oh, you didn't do it, so, like, now, like, you're worse or you're less than, or la la la. More so like, hey, like, I know you can do it. Like, you know, keep moving forward. Always, like, helping you in that way. So I think those are, like, the top 4 things that I look for in a person. So yeah.
That's huge.
As I sit here and, like, listen to you, you know, to everybody, you know, it's just, I learned a lot about myself now that it's just, that I see, like, wow, this is what I want too, you know, like you said, being each other's best friend, you know,
Yeah.
be with your partner. Also, another thing that you mentioned was very important, dating to marry. You know, you don't want to just date somebody just to date them, you know, you have to take it serious, right? So that's another important factor for me too, being my best friend. And something I want to add on is, like, I need somebody to understand me, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to, like, live, like, such a, like, a big life where I almost sound delusional, right? To a lot of people, right? So I just need her to understand my vision, my dreams, and to be supportive, you know? Like, I'm trying to be outside, like, be the man of the house to protect and provide, and I need that peace of mind when I go home, you know? So I just think that's very important for somebody to understand, so for me to understand her as well, you know? And just being a team together, you know, just figuring life out. Like, can you help me with life? Can you help me with business? You know, it's like, it's very important, you know? So as I sit here, I learn from you, from all of you, and I sit and think, wow, this is really what I want as well. And yeah, that's why I couldn't, like, figure out in the beginning where I was like, damn, I don't even know, you know? I don't even know, but yeah, it's like important key factors that I'm looking for. She has to be a God-fearing woman as well, you know? So that's just something I look forward to, you know? Yeah. What's the next question? Let's get into it.
Yeah. Well, the next question that we have is, we've talked about what we want in a relationship, right? But one of the things is what we do not, like, what is a deal breaker?
A deal breaker?
Like as soon as you see this, you're like, nope.
I feel like, I don't know how to say it. What is toxicity a word, or is that not?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was gonna, like, it's gonna sound weird, you know. So definitely, like, that toxic thing, get out of the way. You know, you don't need somebody toxic while you're out here trying to build, you know, figure life out with someone. You don't need that. You know, you need the respect and you just need to love each other, right? I just feel like that's a main one. What about you?
Well, what's like you said somebody that's toxic, but what's like a clue? Like what? Yeah, like how do you know? Like, oh, you did this if you're toxic.
Because I think that honestly, everybody has some kind of toxic trait, but it's what exactly for you is it like no, not that one.
Yeah, like what's the red flag that you're like?
Okay, that's an interesting question, because there's a lot, right? One of them is like just not trusting each other. Like if I go somewhere, like we're supposed to be, I'm supposed to be in a secure spot. You know, it goes both ways. Like if she goes out or anything, I'm supposed to know, okay, this is my woman, and nobody can take her from me. She's mine. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, okay, she told me. You know, like we have that trust.
Security.
I need to have that security with her.
Right.
I need to be able to trust her if she's outside. I'm not gonna be like, hey, where you at? What time you coming? You know, so obviously I don't want her to be too late because I'm responsible for her. Right. So, hey, I don't want you coming home late because it's dangerous at this time, right? So just if she's trying to control me as where I'm at, what am I doing, going through my followers, you know, it's like, bro, like I understand, you know, I'm not gonna follow like just anybody, you know. She just needs to know that she's secure with me, and I need to trust her as well. Yeah. So that's a very important, you know.
I agree.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You want to go next?
Sure. Well, for me, I think it's so interesting because looking back and thinking about like my deal breakers, I think it really starts on like you. It starts with you. Like, what are your boundaries and do you respect them? Mm-hmm. You know, because every time that I've realized that I've like been like hurt or like not wasting my time, but I've been in a situation or a situationship, right, or relationship that like kind of left me a little bit worse than when I got into it, was because I didn't respect my own boundaries.
You kind of allowed that to happen?
I allowed it to happen. Because like, so for me now, I'm a totally different person than I was when I was in these other like situations, right? So now what my hard limits are, what my boundaries are, it's like, if you make me feel less than, if you put me down, if when I'm around you I can't even tell if you really like me or not, then I can't be with you, because I need somebody that if
you don't have to question it.
Yeah, like I don't have to question it. Like they show me every single day. Any like opportunity to show me and tell me, they take it and they go above and beyond with it, because there's been so many different like people that I've been with where, well, that sounds weird, but you know what I mean, like it's so many different like people that I've, you know, not like that, but like there's been so many different like situations or people that have tried to, you know, be official with me, where it's like you haven't proven that you even really like care about me as a person.
Yeah. Like
you put me down, like you make me feel insecure because of the things that you say, you know? So before, I feel like I made so many excuses for people. Right. It was like, yeah, they said this, but they didn't mean it like that. Or like, yeah, I know that they did this, but it was probably an accident because X, Y, and Z. And it's like, if I have to keep making excuses for you, right, like at one point, there's something that has been said a lot where it's like, when a man, you know, when a person tells you who they are, believe them. Mm-hmm. And so I would always go against what I was being shown, or you know, like, so now if the moment that you make me feel like I don't matter to you or I'm not a priority, I'm out. I can't anymore, because I've let it slide too long. Because for me, what I realized within myself was, when I do like start like building a relationship or something with somebody, a lot of times it's like, it has been at a time when I really probably shouldn't have even been talking to that person. Like there's something personal that I'm growing through that I needed to grow through by myself. And so it was more so, you know what I mean? It was more so like, not like, you know, like Kalani distraction. Do you want to be do you want to be a distraction? Like that's basically, I know, but that's basically what it was. Or like whether I realized it at the time or not. And that's why sometimes I have turned down being somebody's girlfriend, because I realize if I go into it, if I do become officially boyfriend and girlfriend, I know that it won't be right because I think I won't know for sure if I'm using you as a distraction or not. So for example, when my mom passed away, right away I was already talking to somebody, so he asked me to be his girlfriend after she passed, but it was so soon that I didn't want to commit to him and wonder if I only committed because like I wanted somebody to be there. Yeah. Am I with you because I love you? Right. Like, am I with you because I love you and I genuinely want to be with you, or am I? It did, but I was gonna let it slide.
Okay. Yeah.
Am I with you because I love you and I genuinely want to be with you, or am I with you because I feel empty because my mom is gone and you're right there?
And you're like, you could fill my void, kind of thing.
Right, you can fill my void. You're my white savior. Like, I don't want that to be the only reason that I'm with you. So I declined the invitation.
That's powerful though.
No, that is good. Yeah.
It takes a lot.
It does take a lot, you know, for you to hold yourself back, especially through a hard time.
Yeah.
You know, because if you were to commit to that and then just leave after, you're like, damn, like I just use them for something.
Right.
And it's not even just that. Throughout the relationship, if you do that, even just going in and thinking about yourself, you don't. A lot of people don't realize how much it's affecting that person too.
Exactly.
You get me? So it's not just like, okay, you know, I'm screwing myself over. I'm also
You're screwing the other person.
screwing that person over
emotionally,
you know. Like that can be something that can be scarring for them. Like maybe they really cared about you, really love you, and then they realize that you use them. That's something that they're gonna have to now deal with for a while. You know. Yeah.
So a lot of the situations that I did end, it was because it was never anything like we fell out in a bad way. It was always like, okay, I'm really starting to realize that we're holding each other back, or you're just holding me back, because I love to like pour into people.
Right.
And so one of my first relationships, I realized that I'm pouring into you all that I have, and you're just taking it, you're not giving anything.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it was like something like that where I think that was my first realization of like, okay, I'm doing the most.
It's like a one-sided relationship.
One-sided.
Right? Like I'm giving you 100% while you're giving me like barely anything.
Yeah. And you're like eating it up.
Yeah.
You're like,
no, I get you. I've been there.
You're just sucking everything I have out of me, you know. And that it's situations like that really helped me. And this is one of the key things that I realized. Until you learn until you learn your lesson, it's just gonna keep happening.
Right. It's kind of like those movies where you know the person wakes up and it's the same thing all over again until they learn their lesson.
Yes,
it's the same thing.
That's exactly the loop that I have been on. Was like, okay, same questions, same problems, different face.
Right.
And so I was like, it wasn't until my last situation, and I did really care for him, and I think he honestly did care for me to a certain level. But it was like, if we're not in game, and we've been talking on and off for like 2 years, then like, what are we doing here? Right. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I know we're not in game. So I need to respect myself enough, and I need to respect you enough to let us, So it was never something like, well, F him and F her and blah, blah. Like, it was always that. Like, it was always a conversation of, and even if I didn't fully want to let go, and that's been the main problem. Is sometimes I really don't want to let go. I'm not ready yet, but I know.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they're not ready yet, but I know for them. Like, even if they don't want to accept it, I know that I'm not fully what you want right now.
Right.
You know, because you want somebody that can. I think the main thing that was like, it was always goals. It always came down to goals.
It's not this.
I know, not this. Not the good, not the, you know, twirling my feet. I know, not the good. It always came down to like, you know, there's certain like morals or situations that we really just don't agree with. Or I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to like pursue my dreams, and like you're not fully understanding me right now. Yeah. And so maybe if it's meant to be, or like in the future, then who knows? But right now, and if it's not happening in like 2 years, or if it's not happening like, and we keep trying to, we're just going this loop that it's gonna. I've been on and off with somebody so many different times before, and it's like, bruh, like that core reason as to why we split is still there.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna work. So to answer the question finally, it's really just
It's okay. I like this. You're covering a lot because I feel like we all can agree with everything you're saying.
I'm like, you haven't answered yet.
She's still answering
I did answer it, and then I went on.
She like answered it, and then she's like explaining why, like backing it up.
It's good to have context and everything. So
No, you're good. Thank you. It's because I think I might have ADHD, so I was going like this way, but
we all do. You're fine. We're following.
I was like, as long as y'all going with me on the journey, then we're good. But to like summarize it, basically, a deal breaker for me is if I don't feel like you like me.
Like you don't like me.
That's not.
Damn.
Well, it's like if you put me down, if you make me feel worse about myself, then I can't.
Yeah.
That's what my deal breaker is.
Yeah. Okay.
So what are you not looking at?
Oh, okay. What did I not look for? It's hard to like even really think about it because I kid you not, was not looking for one at all. So like it wasn't like it was, you know, like when we were first talking, it wasn't like, oh, like I'm gonna be starting to look for a relationship, let me see my option.
Right.
It was really like I'm not looking for anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anything. I'm not looking for anything. Nada, zilch, just like nothing. And then boom, she like pops in, and then like I'm just like, damn, like I can't not. So I think like,
what can I say?
like she's not wrong. So
hey, she got you.
Look, neither of us were looking. Okay.
I wasn't looking either.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's how it happens. You're never looking, and then
And honestly, that was the first time I wasn't looking.
Really?
Really, it really was the first time like I wasn't looking. So like, I think for me, if I go back to like the experiences I had in the past, like in the relationships I had in the past, I think that for me, like one of the biggest things, it was definitely like the goals part of it, because I have always had the biggest goals like ever. I've always had that. My parents literally raised me with saying like, you know, like if people aren't laughing at your dreams, they're not big enough. You need to dream bigger. You need to dream bigger. Like I've been hearing that since I was like in the womb. Like seriously.
Yeah.
I think that's just why I relate to you so much, because I literally think the same way you do. But like the goals, I was like, bro, I'm not gonna let nobody tell me what I can't.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And that's the part where I messed up. So like I really don't want you to ever mess that up, because my biggest thing that I messed up on was I allowed somebody. So like my biggest struggle at one point was I wanted people to fill my void. What you said. That's why I was able to understand that. You wanting to not let that happen, because I didn't understand that that's what I used to do. I didn't understand that was something I was trying to do. So my biggest thing was I was trying not, like I was so badly trying to like fill this void and this pain that I was feeling inside of me for like so much of my life, that like I would go to relationships and make them be my everything. I would make my friends my everything. I would make like once I started dating people, I would make dating my everything. And when you're a kid, you're not really dating, you're just, you know, whatever. But like, you're just kind of talking and nothing ever happens. But it's just like, it didn't matter, whatever it was, I tried to make them my everything, because all I wanted was this like pain in my heart and in my soul to be filled. And I wasn't learning and understanding that I needed to do it for myself at that point. And then, because I was so young, no one had taught me that. And what happened was, because I didn't learn that when I should have, or at least like done that work. I mean, I still like want to say like I was only like 16, 17 years old. I feel like unless somebody's really teaching you that, that's not something you fully understand. So like I understand, like it's kind of like I'm not gonna be too hard on myself. I was a baby. And I like got into a relationship, my first like real committed relationship, where I really was like in love and everything. Yeah, that was the first time in my life that I ever shrunk my goals and my dreams and honestly, like, me as a person to fit someone else. And that was something that, like, when I decided, like, okay, I am going to give her a shot. I'm going to get to know her and see if this is worth it. It would, like, I kind of made sure, like, I am not going to shrink anything this time. Like, in the past, I literally went from, like, oh, I'm going to be this, like, multi-millionaire by, like, 30, and I'm going to have this and that, and, like, this huge, beautiful dreams and goals that I had for myself forever, to being, like, with somebody who didn't want any of it, who would trash on it, who would, like, literally, like always fight anytime it had to come with money or had to come with, like, what goals that we actually wanted in life. Like, I had to, like, I would literally, like, I think I got to a point when I said, I think we mentioned it once when I said I wanted to be a therapist. That was, like, that was mostly because that person had, like, complimented me and said, like, oh, you help a lot of people, you should consider that. And, like, I was just like, oh, like, okay. And then, like, I kept, like, I had been in that relationship where, like, I just kind of started doing what they said. And I just, like, did whatever to fit what they wanted from me. And that was because I hadn't worked on myself enough to not realize that I was just kind of in that relationship to feel some kind of, like, pain that I was in. And I, like, literally shrunk myself so much that at the end of the relationship, I started giving, like, you know when they say, like, you have a cup, right? Like, you're a cup and you need to start filling it. And you're trying to, like, fill it up, and that's when you're, like, loving on yourself and caring on yourself and being true to yourself. And then there's another individual, and they want you to, you know, like, you want to pour into them a little bit too. And it should be you pouring into each other, and it's like this whole overflow. But what it was in reality was somebody, like, they cut a hole under their cup, and all it was pouring and pouring and pouring to a point where I had nothing else to give. And what I started giving was myself. I was giving parts of myself away, my dreams away, my goals away, my, like, identity away, my legacy away. Everything was, I was literally just giving myself away. And at the end of it, like, they ended up leaving, and I was left with nothing, not even myself. I was left with, like, less than myself. And I had to, like, rebuild myself back up before I met her. And, like, I was in that process, and so what I knew was I didn't want to go through that again. I was not going to go through that again. So when I, like, met her, and she asked, like, I think I told her what I do. I told her my dreams for myself, my goals for myself. I wasn't going to, like, let anybody, like, I remember, like, my head was so focused. I am not ever going to let anybody, like, come in and tell me my dreams are, like, impossible. Tell me that, like, what I want for myself isn't possible. Tell me that I'm crazy. Tell me that there's something wrong with me for wanting more. Tell me there's something wrong with me for never being, like, satisfied. Like, bro, I just want more. Like, that's all it is. Like, I was never going to be with somebody like that again. And I was never going to be with somebody who, like, basically looked at me as, like, less than for wanting so much. And then then when we leave the relationship, they end up wanting all these big things and then taking the credit for themselves. I'm like, bro, we both know why you started dreaming like that and thinking like that. But, like, I knew that wasn't what I wanted. And when I met her, I made it clear, like, these are my dreams, these are my goals, I want this, I want that, I'm gonna be a multi-millionaire by this age, these are the goals I have for myself. By the time I'm 25, I'm gonna be retired, I'm gonna, like I said, like, I'm gonna be a millionaire by the time I'm 25, I'm gonna be retired, on my 25th birthday, I'm gonna travel the world for my birthday, because I'm already a millionaire, why not? Like, that was what I told her. And then her little comeback was, okay, I'll go anywhere you want. I'll travel the world with you.
It was literally like, she's like, oh, this, and that. And I'm like, let's do it then. That's literally what it was. That's what it was.
And it was like, I remember, like, when I started getting to know her, I was so scared because of the relationship I had been in the past. I was so scared that, like, even though she accepted everything I said, so did the person in the past at the beginning, until they had that, like, they knew that they had that power over me where they could crush it. And I was so scared, okay, she's accepting it, but what if she tries to crush it now? So then that's when I came in with, what do you want for yourself? What goals do you have for yourself? What do you want in life? I remember, like, her telling me, oh, like, I want to have, like, this, like, I want to, what did she say? She said I wanted to, do, like, the thing with, like, with real estate where you have, like, one place and you, like, you
have multiple houses. You rent it out, right? You buy your house. You basically buy a house, or you purchase a house. However, people do it in different ways. And no, you split the house into 3. You stay in one spot and you rent out the other 2. And then you'll use one of them enough to pay the rent and save your money and the other person's money.
And then you get another place.
You save that, get another place, and you just keep.
And then you just keep building it and building it. And when I heard her, it like reminded me a little bit of the business, but just reusing buildings. And I was like, she has the mindset.
Right.
She has it. And that, I kid you not, when she told me, my smile was like huge. I had the biggest smile in my face because I didn't feel now that I was like, I didn't have somebody who was my equal. Before, I never felt like I had an equal. I felt like I had somebody who, like, was not my equal, but acted like they were not my equal in this way, when they were really not my equal in this way. And, like, with her, it was, I have an equal. And it was just like, okay. I remember going home that weekend. I called my friend Melissa, and I was just like, oh my goodness, you're not gonna know what happened. I didn't even tell you everything. Blah blah blah. And she said this, and she said that, blah, blah, blah. And then I was so excited to say that part, that I think, like, she could be it. I think that I wouldn't have to make myself small for her, and she wouldn't make me small. She wouldn't try to make me small. I think that with her, I can, like, be as big as I want, and she'll just run with it and say, let's go, let's make it even bigger. And, like, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it's like. But, like, I remember, like, what I didn't want, like, I was so scared of. I was so paranoid. I didn't even talk about the business with her because I was so paranoid. She recruited herself because I wouldn't do it. I was so scared. But she literally was just like, love, can I do this with you? I was like, oh. I started crying.
Like, you want to? You were already crying before that.
I was crying before that, but I was just like, you want to? Yeah.
She was crying, just so they know. She was crying because she felt like, because of her past situation, that she was never going to have anybody. Her dream since a little kid was to have somebody do the business with her.
Yeah.
And because of her past relationship, and her kind of just like, I guess just getting to know each other, she was explaining to me that she felt that she was never going to have somebody to do that.
About that, yeah.
And so I already knew I wanted to, I just never knew how to bring it up. And so, like, I was just telling her, like, hey, well, you never know. Like, what do you mean? Like, you don't know if somebody does or not, or if you're going to have that person or not.
And I was like, well, I would have to wait until, like, one of my kids is ready. And then until then, that's, like, what, 18 plus 3 years from now? Like, I don't want to wait that long until I have a partner. And then, go ahead with that.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, you got me. She was just like, what do you mean? I was just like, well, I mean, you never asked, but I wanna, like, I'm here.
And I started crying even harder, and I was just like it was like all my fears and all of my everything I didn't want. It was like, you don't even have to worry about that. Like, there you go. Here's your little gift from God. Like, you don't gotta worry about it.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay. I wanted to hear more. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I just like hearing about myself. I'm kidding.
I don't think you can see her, but she was like.
I don't think they can see, but like my little feet, like. Ah, damn. Okay, so for me, because of my past relationships, goddamn, is it gonna get like deep, bro? Like, it's just like okay. I'll just start from wherever. So for my past relationships, let me start with the first one because they both did it differently, but they both Okay. So the first one, it was like that. I forgot what they call it, but it's like the love bombing at the beginning, right? So it was just like a lot of like, it was. I don't even know how to explain it. It was a lot of like, oh, I love you, like I want this with you, I want that with you, like, oh, like you fulfill me, oh, you this, you that, right? And everything was really cool. Like I was with her for like 4 years. So the first 2 years, everything was okay. You know, everything was good. The only thing is that I'll explain that later. But the first 2 years were good, and then the third year, I started realizing that I wasn't being appreciated the way that I wanted to be appreciated. Right? There was constant things since the beginning of the relationship where I would ask her something from that, you know, I would ask something of her, and she would be like, yeah, like I got this, or like she would make mistakes is what I'm trying to say. She would make mistakes, and I'd be like, look, can you like please not do that again? She'd be like, yeah, I won't, it's okay. And then it would just happen again and again and again and again and again. So that's what the relationship was. Like literally the relationship was me asking something of her that she couldn't give, you know? So because I continued to allow myself to be in that cycle, kind of like how you were explaining, it eventually got to a point where emotionally I was out of the relationship. After that second year, for the last 2 years, I was out of the relationship, and I wanted to end the relationship, and I would bring it up a lot, but then it would come into like her mentally like abusing me. So it'd be like, no, like you committed to this, so you have to stay, like la 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 la. We talked about like getting married, la 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 la, you know, like we already have like whatever planned, right? And so she would guilt trip me into staying into the relationship. So if I'm already emotionally out of the relationship, you can only imagine after those 2 years. I got to a point where I was extremely depressed. I did not eat. I was in a position where literally like she would come pick me up, I'd get in the car, and I wouldn't even talk to her. Like I would zone out, she would be talking, doing her thing, whatever. And for, you can't even imagine, for like months or like a whole year straight, like this was just me like that. You get me? And if I wasn't there, we would be arguing 24/7 every single day. Every day, like I would make a problem out of everything, but that's because I emotionally was out. You get me? Like I was tired of it. I didn't want to be there, and I felt like I was forced to be in the relationship that I didn't want to be in anymore. So when we would argue, it would emotionally drain me, and so eventually, like I would just fall asleep. Like I'd just knock out. Doesn't even matter like where I was at. She would want to go out to eat, and she would want to do these things, and I would just be like in the car and be like, no, I don't want to. But because she wanted me with her, I would do enough to just satisfy that part. So I was there, I was present, but emotionally I was out of there. Like my heart was completely out of it. Eventually it got to a point where I met somebody else, which is my second relationship. And because I was already emotionally out of that relationship, when I met this person, she basically gave me a feeling that I hadn't felt for those 2 years, that I was just like I've been missing. Like this is a feeling that I've been wanting to have with this person that I do not have anymore. And she kind of opened my eyes to be like, hey, are you sure you're even happy in the relationship? Do you even want to be in the relationship? Like all these things. So I was talking to this girl. She was kind of like, she wasn't at all trying to, you know, make me separate from who I was with at that time. It was more of like, she did like me, but she also didn't know I was in a relationship. So granted, that's why she started talking to me, because she didn't know I was in a relationship. And then she was just like, dude, like, are you sure you're even happy? Like, she was kind of like keeping me on check. Like, why don't you, like, you're not validating your own feelings. Like, you're just like letting her like give, like, basically you're living your life based off of what she wants. And so I told the first girl that I was with at that moment, I was just like, hey, you know what? Because I'm not unfaithful at all. So, and I'm also very, very honest. So I told her straight up, I'm like, look, I met this girl. I met her through work at that moment. And I was like, and she, honestly, like, she's making me realize all of these things about like our relationship, about me, and she's right. Like, I haven't been happy, I haven't been this, I haven't been that. And I told her, and she's like, basically didn't take it well at all. And so eventually that just, I'm just like telling you guys the whole story. So I'm just gonna cut it down to, basically, I told her about the other girl. She didn't like the fact that I was talking to the other girl, and that I admitted to her, like, you know what, like, I think that I like her because she's giving me something. Obviously, I know the feeling that I'm feeling, and it's a feeling that I don't have with you. And so she didn't like that at all. And so I told her, like, look, like, I think we need to end things, whatever. And then because she was already mentally abusive, and at that point I already realized that I didn't want to continue that cycle, I kind of told her, like, hey, look, we're gonna end the relation for like 2 weeks. And after those 2 weeks, I have to think, and then if I want to continue, then I'll continue. If not, then, you know, we already know. So I did that. But when I told her about that, the other girl, she basically tried to emotionally manipulate me again. And so she came to my house. She was basically forced me to let her inside. She was like, if you don't let me in, like, I'm gonna knock on the door and your parents are gonna know, la la la. I'm gonna tell them everything. And at that moment, my parents were like super against me being with a female, you know. So obviously, like, I was like, fuck, like, I have no other option. So I let her in.